Hey, what's happening, you YouTube warriors out there? This is Range Day, bro. And today what we're going to be going over is my Arsenal SAM 7 K44 Genesis. And yeah, I know that's a mouthful, but hey, I didn't go through the naming of this product here. But what we're going to talk about today is just overall, obviously this is a little bit different. And I'll roll in a photo of what this looked like originally. But we're going to go over the mods and kind of what I've done to this pistol here. And there's not many videos out there on the interwebs with regard to AKs in general, but especially and specifically these Arsenals. I know there's Michiko and a couple other bigger channels that are very informative on AKs. I'm not going to lie to you guys, I don't know too much about the AK platform. Nowhere near as much as I do about the AR platform. It's just inherently a much simpler platform. AR's like Legos. This is actually like crafting something out of stone because you do need special tooling and an actual, actual machine shop and whatnot to actually build AKs. But I can't even speak to that because I have no clue. But just for all you internet wizards out there who are checking safety, we are clear. You see the mag pull, beautiful Gen 3 mag pull mags. You see the orange follower showing that it is clear, and so that you guys can be safe. But let's start tip to butt, as Grand Thumb likes to say. And let's be honest, he's a huge influence on anyone who watches YouTube gun videos. The guy's hilarious and he's very entertaining. So let's go tip to butt, as Grand Thumb says. We'll start up here with the SLR Rifle Works. This whole concoction is all SLR Rifle Works from the receiver forward. What we have here is the linear comp. I believe they just call it the just the SLR Rifle Works linear comp. Obviously this is the one in 24mm thread pitch, which is the thread pitch on the SAM 7. And then from there, and this is actually required in order to run this Handguard, which is the let's see, there's a lot of naming conventions here, so forgive me. This is the SLR AK Ion 6.9 inch light M-lock extension for Crink, which this is a Crink style. Again, I don't know too much about the history of AKs, but this is technically a Crink style AK pistol. So this is the one specifically designed for the Crink styles. And with that being said, it is the Mod 3 for milled receiver. So this is how you can tell it's milled. There's no rivets over here, so this is a milled receiver AK here. And you need to get the specific version so that it fits in here, because not many people will tell you this, but it is different when you have a milled receiver versus a stamped receiver AK. So make sure you're picking the Mod 3, which is for the milled receiver if you have this exact Arsenal here. I added the gas tube, so this is not included. You have to pay extra for the gas tube, which sits there on top. But all in all, it looks pretty damn sexy, and it is a really super solid lockup. There is no play at all. And unfortunately, I don't have the original furniture that came with this AK here present for the video. But what I do know is that it had a bit of play in this forend. So it's really nice. When I installed this, I was very pleasantly surprised. This is just super solid, which is obviously required to retain zero on any kind of optic you're going to have, or if you're going to run lasers up here, it's entirely possible. I don't have any lasers to run, but it is just super solid, and the fit and finish on the SLR Rifle Works is phenomenal. It is just everything about it. When it showed up, and also their customer service, I actually had a bit of an issue because I sent them a video. There was a bit of play up here in this linear comp, and I wasn't sure if that was normal or if it was going to be safe to fire with that play. But after I took to the gunsmith, he assured me it was good to go, although SLR did seem to think that was a bit outside of the standard amount of play. So I don't know if it's just stacking tolerances on behalf of Arsenal's threading and SLR's tolerances on their threads. I don't know, but all I know is that I've shot it several hundred rounds through it, and it's worked perfectly fine. I've never had any issues out of it. No complaints there, but the reason that's required is because the actual barrel ends about right here. If you could see, it ends a little short, so that's why you need a linear comp in order to push those gases forward, so that when this is my grip here on the pistol, so that when I'm gripping the gun like so, I don't have any gases coming at my hands that I don't want. Hot, extremely fast moving gas hitting my appendages. So it's a really great fit, and just in combination with this Strike Industries little hand stop here on the bottom, it's a really good feel. I wrap my thumb over the top here and it's good to go. I have no issues at all. Very comfortable shooting, or I could throw my thumb right here forward, more like it, so I can actually see my red dot without my fat thumb in the way. But the beautiful part about that is, in this rail, is that I can actually still use my irons, even with this top rail and my dot here. So it's an actual true co-witness. It is a true co-witness, but I tend to just keep my head a little higher and lift that dot up a little higher in the window. And I don't like to line my irons up. Kind of defeats the purpose of using a dot. So with that being said, it is just super beautiful rail. I couldn't be happier. And in fact, I saw this on someone's build somewhere along the way on Instagram, and I fell in love with the look, and I started looking into SLR, and I found this specific handguard. So very, very impressed with it overall. But moving on to the top here, I have the Holosun. This is the 508T, I believe. So it's the enhanced 507 version. I don't know if they still make this version where it's the arched top, the rounded top here that you can see. But this is the titanium version, but this is the same one that has RMR footprint on it. I have it in the Holosun little mount that came with the pick mount. Works great, I mean, it's tiny, it's a green, this is actually the green dot version, but it looks great, it works great. It's really perfectly sized, I think, and it looks like it just fits in perfectly with his gun, being that the rear sight here on top, it kind of looks just like a rear sight just further forward. But that has been perfect. I don't even know if I've actually zeroed this pistol. I just shoot it for kind of a range toy, which we'll kind of get into why that is. Although I built it for like a backpack kind of truck gun, I kind of use it more just like for a range toy. But moving on back, we'll get to the receiver. And no surprise here, Arsenal milled receiver. There's plenty of videos on the internet for milled versus stamped. Personally, I didn't know too much about AKs, but I wanted the best of the best, and from everything I read, you really can't go wrong with a milled receiver. I know that millions of military and law enforcement have been using stamped receivers for the last 70 years or whatever it is since the AK had been brought to market. But personally, I just love the look. Again, I kind of fall in love with the look. I know a lot of you guys probably do as well, but I kind of fall in love with the look, and then I'd rather just save up and get what I really want instead of settling for something that I'm going to be regretting. So I 100% recommend the Arsenal milled receiver AKs. They're really phenomenal. And I have actually worked the action on stamped receivers, and you can tell the difference. I mean, this thing is just so smooth. It just feels like it's gliding on ball bearings. It's just, you really can't beat that quality. So I love that. Top cover, nothing really fancy, but on a crank style, you just depress your button, and it's actually like spring loaded, so it kind of holds itself up. It doesn't come off completely. There's a hinge there. You guys kind of know what an AK looks like. So real simple. Actually, might as well real quick show you guys how short that little long stroke piston is. Long, short stroke. It's a long stroke piston, but it's a little short guy since it's a real short barrel on this guy. But real super simple. Everything you'd expect out of an AK platform. But moving on back, real easy to get that down. You just push it down since it's on a hinge. But before I move on from the receiver, let me talk about the Optics rail mount. I love that it's there, but it kind of confuses me because you can actually put a full-length Optics mount on this, but this rear sight gets in the way, and this is appears to be welded on. Let me pop this cover one more time. Yeah, so you can see down here, it's riveted on, I guess. I don't know if that's a rivet. Maybe some of you welders out there could tell me. But that rear sight is permanently fixed to the dust cover there, or the top cover, whatever you want to call it. So when you try to put a rail on here, an optics rail, that kind of gets in the way unless you have a specialized one that either sits forward or sits back. That's the only way I could see that working. But I wanted to just mention that because that kind of threw me for a bone when I was looking at this AK, when I was looking to put optics on it. And that's another reason I had to opt for the gas tube here, the SLR gas tube with the pick rail on top. There's other ones. There's Yulti Mac. It's a little bit cheaper and it doesn't require any other kind of rail on here. But I like this one because they're specifically made for each other, and the way they made up just makes for an incredibly rock solid construction. But this isn't an install video, so I'm not going to get into how this all bolts up. But anyhow, moving on back. Actually, one more thing about the rear sight is that there's actually a notch sight, and then if you just turn this little wheel here, there's a little lever on the side. It'll take you to a peephole sight. So that's pretty cool. I like that you have the option of that, and it's very simple. Just a little, no tools required. Just switch it back and forth, whatever you prefer. But yeah. No surprise to any of you guys if you've seen any videos, or one of you guys probably already own this, probably just looking at possibly making some mods, so you probably already know that this is an ambidextrous safety selector on the Arsenal here. So that's really cool. You can operate it from the non-typical side, and that's very nice for when if you're folding this. If this is actually set up to fold to the left here, because I don't use this optics rail. But if you have it set up to fold to the other way, like my full-size Arsenal, then that kind of covers up the safety selector, so you can use your the left side of the pistol or rifle to operate it. So, but this is what she looks like folded, which gets me back to the rear of the pistol. And right here we have a JMac Customs. Any of you guys who are familiar with the AK world, you know JMac, you probably love them. Like I do. I don't know them personally, but I love their products, and they have recently gone to making their own folding mechanisms. But when I bought this, it was the SIG version, so this is the SIG folding mech, SIG 1913, because the 44 Genesis Arsenal comes with a pick rail on the rear trunnion. Again, not an AK expert here. I believe it's a rear trunnion with the pick rail it comes with. You can get a version without the pick rail, which is a little bit cheaper. I'd say just pay a little bit extra and get the pick rail from the factory. Super duper solid. Sound like a 4-year-old saying that, but super duper solid pick rail, and the way it mounts up with this SIG folding mech and the JMac AB8-R, and I think the 8 is for 8 inches, and I believe the R is for the riser, because this is the riser version where it has the bump up in it, whereas there's a version where it's just completely flat, and then it's got the SIG folding mech and the gearhead tail hook brace. Gearhead works tail hook brace, which works by a little button here, and it's all aluminum construction, so you can go ahead and throw your arm right in there and do your thing with your pistol. So that's really cool. Again, I fell in love with this look once I saw it. I had to have it. So yeah, it gets pretty expensive between the rail, the gas tube, the linear comp, and the brace. As you see it here, it gets very expensive, and especially once you consider that this actual pistol itself is upwards of $1,800 as of right now in 2021. So prices are kind of crazy right now on these, but I think, again, this is going to be a pistol or rifle, whatever configuration you decide to get it in, that'll outlive you and your children and their children if they take care of it. It just has that kind of quality, and you feel it when you hold the pistol. So, but yeah, it got real expensive real quick. This is one of the most expensive guns I own because of my obsession with the look I had to have. But hey, very happy I have it. And one of the last things I'll go over on this is the Isle Manufacturing, ISLE MFG. And I only spell that out because it was very hard for me to find. I had to like creep on JMac's Instagram in order to figure out who made these, because I fell in love with these as well. And the one I have here is the 0.75, so 3/4 of an inch tall, and it's in a topo pattern. So I got it in a topo pattern because obviously I love topographic patterns, but it is really comfortable, and it just gives you that extra bit of cheek riser and support you need in order to get a nice cheek weld on this guy. Because without it, my cheek was sitting a little low and I found myself almost with a chin on the arm bar. So it's perfect now where it's at. Plus, it just looks sexy. Let's be honest. It doesn't even matter if you don't look good doing it. So that all being said, I've pretty much covered it all, guys. If there's anything you want to see specifically about the SAM7 44K Genesis, I'm sorry, SAM7K 44 Genesis. These naming confusers, but really great. It shoots really great. I'll be honest with you, if you don't own an AK and you own ARs and you want to get an AK because you think it'd be a cool, fun range toy, they definitely are. And I don't want to sound like a wuss here, but the first time I shot an AK was after I bought my full-size Arsenal SAM7, and it surprised me with the amount of buck it's got. Let's put it that way. It's got a lot more buck than the AR-15, but with that comes better stopping power. With that comes different ballistic performance if you're looking for that. So there's definitely a lot of benefits to that. And this is an 8.5-inch barrel, so you could do your own research and look up the ballistic performance of 7.62x39 coming out of an 8.5-inch barrel. With that being said, there was one more thing I wanted to mention. When you get this, if you're looking into this specifically for the SLR Rifle Works Handguard, if you're going to install this, you will have to permanently fuck up your arsenal. You have to cut off the handguard retainer, which some guys who know how to build AKs will probably say that's not that big of a deal. The only way I could see replacing that, if I wanted to go back to the original furniture, would be removing the front sight post and the gas block here, which again, I don't have the tools or the knowledge or the will really to do on my own, and nor would I want to do that. So, and if you're going to buy this SLR Rifle Works Handguard, this one specifically, I'm not sure if all of them require that, but just be aware that you're going to have to permanently essentially destroy a part of your firearm that's going to require probably an expert gunsmith in order to bring back to the original form. So again, that's another thing that is a kind of trade-off when you're dealing with AKs versus ARs. But again, this is the configuration I wanted, and so I love it. I don't ever plan on changing it, but I wanted to just, hey, throw this video out there because again, I'd never seen a video like this one with a tricked out arsenal that would have been helpful for me when I was going through this process and shopping around. Well guys, thanks for watching the video. If you think that it was beneficial, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Peace.